Dungeness is a headland on the coast of Kent, England, formed largely of a shingle beach in the form of a cuspate foreland. It shelters a large area of low-lying land. Romney Marsh.Dungeness is also the name of the power station, of the hamlet within the location, and of an important ecological site at the same location. Etymology. The name Dungeness derives from Old Norse nes, headland, with the first part probably connected with the nearby Denge marsh. Popular etymology ascribes a French origin to the toponym, giving an interpretation as dangerous nose. Ecology. Dungeness is one of the largest expanses of shingle in Europe. It is of international conservation importance for its geomorphology, plant and invertebrate communities and birdlife. This is recognized and protected mostly through its conservation designations as a National Nature Reserve, a Special Protection Area, a Special Area of Conservation and part of the Site of Special Scientific Interest of Dungeness, Romney Marsh and Rye Bay. There is a remarkable variety of wildlife living at Dungeness, with over 600 different types of plant, a third of all those found in Britain. It is one of the best places in Britain to find insects such as moths, bees and beetles, and spiders. Many of these are very rare, some found nowhere else in Britain. The short-haired bumblebee, Bombus subterraneus, was last found in the UK in 1988, but has survived in New Zealand after being shipped there more than 100 years ago. After unsuccessful attempts to reintroduce the New Zealand bees at Dungeness in 2009-2010, the Bumblebee Conservation Trust, Hymettus, Natural England and the RSPB teamed up with the Swedish government in a second attempt and introduced 51 of them in 2012 and 49 in 2013 to the Dungeness Reserve. This will be continued each year to ensure a successful integration. The flooded gravel pits on Denge Beach, both brackish and freshwater, provide an important refuge for many migratory and coastal bird species. The RSPB has a bird reserve there, and every year thousands of birdwatchers visit the peninsula and its bird observatory. One of the most remarkable features of the site is an area known as the Patch, or by anglers, as the Boil. The waste hot water and sewage from the Dungeness nuclear power stations are pumped into the sea through two outfall pipes, enriching the biological productivity of the seabed and attracting seabirds from miles around. Beach fishing is popular at Dungeness, with the area being a nationally recognized cod fishing venue in the winter. The Dungeness area will potentially be affected by plans to lengthen the runway of Leeds Airport to accommodate larger passenger jets. It has previously been reported that Dungeness had such low rainfall as to qualify as the only desert in the UK. However, a spokesperson for the Met Office refuted this in 2015. Lighthouses. There have been 7 lighthouses at Dungeness, 5 high and 2 low, with the 5th high one still fully operational today. At first only a beacon was used to warn sailors, but this was replaced by a proper lighthouse in 1615. Is the sea retreated? This had to be replaced in 1635 by a new lighthouse nearer to the water's edge known as Lamplow's Tower. As more shingle was thrown up, a new and more up-to-date lighthouse was built near the sea in 1792 by Samuel Wyatt. This lighthouse was about 35 meters high and of the same design as the third Eddystone Lighthouse. For the mid-19th century, it was painted black with a white band to make it more visible in daylight. Similar colors have featured on the subsequent lighthouses here. This lighthouse was demolished in 1904, but the lighthouse keeper's accommodation, built in a circle around the base of the tower, still exists. In 1901, building of the 4th lighthouse, the High Light Tower, started. It was first lit on the 31st of March 1904 and still stands today. It is no longer in use as a lighthouse but is open as a visitor attraction. It is a circular brick structure, 41 meters high and 11 meters in diameter at ground level. It has 169 steps, and gives visitors a good view of the shingle beach. As the sea receded further, and after building the nuclear power station which obscured the light of the 1904 lighthouse, a fifth lighthouse, Dungeness Lighthouse, was built. Power stations. There are two nuclear power stations at Dungeness, the first built in 1965 and the second in 1983. They are within a wildlife sanctuary deemed a site of special scientific interest, and birds flourish in the warmer water created by the station's outflow. The older power station closed on the 31st of December 2006, while the newer station has had its license extended to 2028. There is a public visitors centre and tours of the station are available. British Energy stopped tours in 2001, and subsequently closed the visitors centre in 2003. In the wake of the September 11 attacks, EDF opened a new visitors centre in 2013, also resuming tours, albeit with security pre-clearance procedures which have to be arranged some weeks in advance of visiting. Transport. Dungeness is accessible by two roads, one along the coast from New Romney to the north, and another from Lydd to the northwest. Both roads converge near the Pilot Public House, from where a single road runs some 1 mile south to the tip of Dungeness. Dungeness is also served by the Romney Marsh.Dungeness Railway, a 15-gauge light railway that covers the 13.5-mile distance from Hythe. The line, which had opened to New Romney in 1927, was extended to Dungeness Station a year later. It still provides a service for tourists, and to take children to and from school. The peninsula has a second, standard gauge, railway, but this is now truncated at Lydd and only used to carry waste from the power stations. It formerly linked Dungeness to a junction with the Marsh-linked line at Appledore. The Dungeness section was closed to passengers on the 4th of July 1937, and it was truncated to Lydd on the 6th of March 1967. Lydd Airport, sometimes known as London Ashford Airport, lies just to the northwest of Dungeness. Despite opposition, largely due to its proximity to the unique landscape of Dungeness, the airport has recently received permission to extend its runway to allow it to handle fully loaded aircraft up to the size of a Boeing 737 or Airbus A319. At present, the airport provides scheduled services to Le Touquet Airport in northern France, using much smaller aircraft. Defense uses. The beach and marshes have been used for military training, and there are marked danger areas. Acoustic mirrors. Danger is the site of a set of acoustic mirrors, known as the listening ears, built between 1928 and 1930. The three massive concrete structures formed an experimental early warning system that aimed to detect invading aircraft by focusing sound waves. The site was chosen as being one of the quietest in Britain. That different forms are evidence of their experimental nature. They were not particularly effective and were abandoned when radar became available. English Heritage and English Nature have joined forces to provide public access to the site. Operation Pluto. In 1944, some of the world's first submarine oil pipelines were laid between Dungeness and France in Operation Pluto. The lines from Dungeness were part of a network called Dumbo and ran to Ambleteuse in France. The Hamlet. In addition to the power station and lighthouse, there is a collection of dwellings. Some of the homes, wooden houses in the main, many built around old railway coaches, are owned and occupied by fishermen. whose boats lie on the beach. Closer to the main road, there is a large building, comprising 5 conjoined homes, previously occupied by coastguards. There are more solidly built houses around the site of the power stations. There are 2 public houses, the Pilot and the Britannia. Fresh seafood can be purchased from several outlets across the shingle. Perhaps the most famous house is Prospect Cottage, formerly owned by the late artist and film director Derek Jarman. The cottage is painted black, with the poem, part of John Donne's The Sun Rising, written on one side in black lettering. But the garden is the main attraction, reflecting the bleak, windswept landscape of the peninsula. Derek Jarman's garden is made of pebbles, driftwood, scrap metal and a few hardy plants. Another Dungeness house is represented on the cover of Pink Floyd's album A Collection of Great Dance Songs. Climate in this area has mild differences between highs and lows, and there is adequate rainfall year-round. The Köppen climate classification subtype for this climate is CFB.